Today in the crypto space, we see the market nice and green, Bitcoin up approximately 5%, and Ethereum right around that $2,500 mark, up approximately 3%. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins are deep in the green, doing pretty good. We have some good gainers today: AVAX, IMX, Injective, Caspa, and many more. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but guys, I want to focus on Bitcoin today because at the end of the day, Bitcoin is the leading indicator. And what is Bitcoin doing in the immediate short term? So you know what, let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of this market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha trade out setups and fundamentals. All right, guys, let's see what's going on here with this general market. Bitcoin showing strength, a lot of strength, in fact, broke above that resistance and is currently looking to break above the previous high. Guys, that's looking pretty good here for Bitcoin. Of course, there's a little bit of an indication to me that this move could be short-lived. It could be, something that maybe hunts liquidity at slightly higher levels. Maybe we get a rollover. Maybe we start going sideways. The volume into this move is not there, guys. We'll take a look at Bitcoin very shortly. Just a bit. We're going to take a look at the top 100 first to see if there are any trends in this market that we need to be aware of. Bitcoin right now obviously is leading the way. Ethereum taking a bit of a break in comparison to Bitcoin. It's still up 2.5%, but right now Bitcoin is definitely showing a bit of dominance here, market-wide dominance. So looking pretty good here for Bitcoin, while the rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, are kind of waiting for their turn, waiting for some of the capital to flow into some of these altcoins. We have BNB obviously grinding to the upside, but still in a bit of a hesitation. Solana up 2.5%, doing its thing, doing pretty good. And we see AVAX doing really well. In fact, outperforming Bitcoin today. AVAX doing pretty good, 6.5% to the upside. Nice move to the upside. So I'm appreciating that. You guys know I like AVAX, and at the end of the day, having the opportunity to buy at the bottom of the range right now puts my AVAX positions deep in the green. So I'm pretty proud and happy about that one. What else do we have here? Uniswap waking up 3.5%, doing pretty good based on the ETH narrative, but we got to wait for ETH to show strength once again, and we could see Uniswap grind again to the upside and get Polygon Matic on board, OP, Arbitrum also, and get those things going. All those Ethereum-based projects, part of the ecosystem, should do well. So right now, ETH is taking a bit of a break, and a lot of us are waiting for that altcoin season, and Ethereum needs to show us and lead us the way into that altcoin season. Without Ethereum, it's unlikely to happen. So we got to wait patiently for ETH to give us that signal. As we keep on going down, you can see, generally speaking, the market is pretty bullish. The market is pretty green overall. Now, it's not huge by big numbers. However, there are some altcoins like right now doing pretty good. Look at BitTensor Tau up 14% today. Really good. It's at the top of the range currently, double topping more or less. But ultimately, the market is pretty good overall. We keep on going down. We have Near Protocol doing okay, grinding slightly to the upside, waking up a little bit in the big picture. You can see that structurally speaking, it's looking for higher highs, so that's really good. Caspa, obviously, lots of strength for Caspa, 32% to the upside. I'm not looking for fresh longs on Caspa, but at the end of the day, the market is really bullish with regards to cap. Any dip on Caspa should be bought. DCA slowly, right? Obviously, it has become a larger cap altcoin. All of a sudden, it's worth $3 billion market cap. It's pretty large at this level. But generally speaking here, guys, if we do If you are looking for a bit of exposure, wait for a dip, wait for a corrective move. We already had one, and all of a sudden we're seeing Casper run up again. So this is the thing here, guys. You know, buy the dip opportunities are meant to be bought. Stacks looking okay after a bit of a run up. You know, it's getting a pullback. That's all right. Arbitrum up 4%, guys. Up 4%. That's good. Monero still coming down to those lower levels, guys. Those privacy projects. Those privacy projects, obviously, they have a little bit of risk associated to them, given the fact that regulation, you know, does have a target on them. And of course, exchanges don't want any issues with regulation, so they tend to delist them. And that's one of the issues, guys. Speaking of privacy projects, guys, deep dive is coming around the corner. Be prepared for that one. I'm going to be releasing that deep dive on Sunday. And of course, it's regarding Zepper. Hey guys, if you're into the project and you want to know a little bit what it's about fundamentally, make sure you stay tuned. On Sunday, I'm releasing that deep dive. VeChain looking pretty good and 3% to the upside. That's good. Finally waking up. It is a heavyweight. You know, it's a larger cap project, $2 billion market cap, but you know, it has been building throughout the bear market. So I'm looking for forward to VeChain and, you know, getting a nice pop to the upside. Sui, another project that I want an entry, guys, but it's not giving it to me. You know, I got to show my patience. I got to be patient here with Sui. But ultimately, I'm not buying into green, even though if I miss my entries, even if I never own a bag, that's totally fine. I am not going to be buying into this green pump because at any moment, we could get a corrective move and then I become exit liquidity. So I'm not interested. I'd rather look for projects that are at the bottom of the range, holding good levels of support, getting nice signs of bullish divergence with great fundamentals, and then I'm in, right? So that's the concept here. Render doing okay, still holding up, going sideways. Say is another one that I'm looking for an entry. If I don't get one, no problem whatsoever. I am still looking for entries on other projects. What else do we have? We have Quant, $100 level, still hanging around that zone, and we have a few of these Ethereum-based projects still looking good, and obviously even the Bitcoin projects are doing good. So generally speaking, you can see that the market, both Bitcoin and Ethereum narrative, altcoin narrative, is still okay. They're all grinding up. The overall total market cap of crypto right now should be nice and green. That's the reality. Look at Algorand, still looking good. Mina Protocol, 7.5% to the upside. So as we keep on going down, even Phantom is waking up 8%. Beam, 15% to the upside. This is good. Generally speaking, you got to admit the market is looking pretty strong here. Now, are we getting a pre-halving rally here? Is this very possible? Before we get a corrective move, we get another impulsive move, and we see maybe an altcoin season. We see the market wake up here, and this is what I've been preparing for here on the channel and scaling into those altcoins, because really, if we get a pre-halving rally, altcoins are going to get their season. They'll get their opportunity, and it's very likely that they will outperform Bitcoin. Remember, Bitcoin already ran up significantly. It's up about 200% from its bottom. So the reality is some of these altcoins need to catch up, including Ethereum. Ethereum it still hasn't really moved significantly in comparison to Bitcoin. So a lot of these altcoins are still undervalued. Kava looking pretty good. I like the way it's moving to the upside. It's looking for a breakout. It's looking for a nice pop to the upside. Pit taking a bit of a dip, unfortunately, but still up 7.5%, not bad. And of course, Bonk is waking up 20% today, guys. Really good move. If you're into Bonk, congrats, but it's a meme coin, so be careful. And I'm still looking and hunting for that entry on Ronin, guys. I'll let you know when I find my entry. It's still kind of looking good here as it's going sideways, but big picture, Ronin could be falling to lower levels, and I'm not willing to take a risk. So I'll let you know when I find a good healthy risk to reward ratio opportunity for Ronin, because I want to definitely buy a bag. All right, guys, I know you're here to talk about charts. Let's begin. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Let's focus on Bitcoin, because at the end of the day, Bitcoin is the heavyweight of this crypto space. And if Bitcoin is showing us strength and is showing us, nice green candles, the reality is it could be the indication of what's here to come for the rest of the crypto space. Where is the money gonna flow? Where's the capital gonna flow after Bitcoin hits its sideways price action, its resistance, and it's obviously gonna get into altcoins eventually. But the timing, it matters. When is it gonna happen, and which altcoins should we be looking at? All right, guys, let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. Bitcoin, in fact, is showing a lot of strength and giving us a lot of hope for this crypto space, for sure. One thing that comes to mind right here is look at all this volume, right? This volume means that there was a lot of market participation. If you cross-reference it, this right here, this huge cluster, and we have this massive cluster right here, this is where the majority of the market got in. Now you can imagine the ETF was a narrative that was basically spawned around this level, and you know, people in the traditional finance market that expected and potentially known that the ETF was going to get basically approved, they got in at this level, guys. They got in at this level. Now if you look at the rest of the price action, it's pretty much flatline right after all of this breakout zone, all this area. Look how flat we went. Now the rest of the move to the upside is low market participation, but still grinding and moving and impulsing to the upside. So this is a little bit of a scenario where I feel a bit fearful with this price action, because there's not a lot of interest. Look at even here on the volume profile at this level, there's not much in comparison to the previous price action below. So the question is, where do we get resistance? Do we even get resistance? Do we start going all-time highs in price discovery here on Bitcoin? The likelihood of that happening, in my opinion, is very low. However, it's still very possible. But believe me, altcoins still need to move. So what I'm going to always keep in mind is that Bitcoin ran up significantly already from its bottom. If you look up from the bottom to where we are right now, it's up 215%, guys, from the bottom. The reality is that's a great move for such a large cap project. The biggest altcoin, the biggest crypto out there, is pretty much 200% from its bottom, while even Ethereum is right around this level. And we got some of these altcoins are still right around this level. In fact, some of them are still right here, desperately clinging on for horizontal support. So the rest of the market is undervalued in comparison to Bitcoin. And Bitcoin had its catalyst, which was the ETF, which was the store of value when all the exchanges fell around this level, when we had a traditional banking system collapsing and all of this kind of stuff. So we got a great advertisement for Bitcoin throughout this entire rally. You know, lots of good bullish narrative. But ultimately, at this level, is it time to take risk to get into a fresh long when really we're at diagonal resistance? Let's get rid of this measurement. We're at diagonal resistance, many tops, 1, 2, and 3, and touching it again, maybe for a fourth around this level. Now, okay, maybe we do break out. Maybe we get a bit of a reaction to the upside where we get to higher levels. I'm looking at the 53,000, I would say 52,000 to about $53,000 level. This level right here, this box. Why? Because if we start looking at with this price action, let's zoom in a little bit. And by the way, guys, this is the 4-day. Okay, this is the 4-day. I just want to consolidate some of the mess, some of the noise here. You can see that we have a volume gap. And more often than not, the volume gaps do get reactions. They do get, that's where market participation starts to get interested. Either we break right through the volume gap and hit the top of the volume gap, which is at about 53,700, or we get a bit of a rejection at resistance at about $52,000, which would still be a very bullish price target. But the question is it time to get into a fresh long at the current moment? Now, you know, guys, earlier I pretty much called this dip. I even called the bounce off of this horizontal on the 4-day, and all of a sudden I am not really that interested in getting to a fresh long, given the fact that we had horizontal, fine, we broke right through, that's fine. Risk to reward ratio was not healthy because now we have diagonal in the way. What about if diagonal resistance hits and it keeps the price down? That's one thing that needs to be considered. And then what about horizontal again at about 52, again 53? If that happens, guys, we could be in some sort of distribution phase. Now, if guys, I'm not sure if you heard about Wyckoff distribution, but it could be that we end up seeing some sort of patterns like this. Let me kind of rearrange this so we can see this in a little bit better view and compare it to the charts and make it a bit bigger. We'll put this a bit that way. I just want to make sure that we can see and compare. Now, it's very early, no doubt, and this is the 4-day. Now, we can also get into the daily so we can make some better sense of this. Where did that thing go? Right here, okay? And I'll push it right over. You can see that after an impulsive move, distribution schematic 1, distribution schematic 2. These are Wyckoff distribution patterns. And these are reaccumulation and accumulation, distribution and redistribution. The two that I'm focusing on is on this. Now, the reality is both of these in the beginning are fairly similar. We get an impulsive move. We go pretty sideways with the nice impulses, nice retracements, nice lower highs, nice lower high. You can see that they're very similar. Now, if you compare this, we got a nice impulsive move. We came back up, made a nice high, come back down, made a high, maybe even a lower high. You can see that generally speaking, we have some data that is being built that is quite early right? We're very early. But what about if we start painting a picture like this, where maybe we start making even a higher high and get this schematic happening, where we got, you see the UT right here, maybe this becomes the UT and hits the $52,000 level, and then we get that pullback, go sideways, and then finally start rolling over. This is going to start taking time, and obviously this is going to start coming down to bearish targets at lower levels. Remember, if we are in a distribution, it does take some time to get this data built. Right now we're very early. If anything, this could be the SOW down here at the lower levels. This right here, SOW, we could have hit the SOW, and we could be here looking for this UT right here in this schematic. It does look like it. It's very possible that it is, but it's quite early. I'm just here trying to stay one step ahead of the market before all the wake-off distribution professionals come out of the woodworks and start talking about it. I think right here it could be in a distribution. Again, Bitcoin is looking frothy. Okay, let's look at some of these indicators with regards to momentum, meaning the RSI and the MACD. We'll put that away and we'll keep that on the side, and we'll keep on referencing that over time as we see this pattern unfold. And if it does become a schematic, at least we're one step ahead here. We can see that the bearish divergence is still here. In fact, the momentum to the upside on the RSI did not break any trend. We are still making a lower high here as we speak, even if the current price action is pretty much double topping. So this is the thing, right? We're getting another drive to the upside. That's totally fine, while we're still maintaining the bearish divergence after 3 drives of bearish divergence. And we can see that it's very possible, based on the diagonal, even the horizontal resistance, that we get rejected and still maintain this downwards trajectory here on the momentum of the RSI. Very clear, guys, very clear. So it could get invalidated. Yes, it's very possible, but the only thing that keeps me a little bit on, you know, in basically reserved and expecting a dip is the mean reversion. Okay, the mean reversion play is a very common play, and it's something that I keep an eye on significantly, especially when I see strong moves. Why? It's because there's weakness below. And you can see that the weakness right here, the risk that is being taken at the current moment getting into a fresh long, is that we can see that the purple line, the RSI, is basically way far away from the EMA, the yellow line. And every time that happens, you can backtest it and look at every time that happens, either the purple line goes sideways, like here, and waits for the yellow, or the purple line comes down and meets up with the yellow somehow, either halfway or maybe even less, and in this case starts coming down. So it's very likely that we see a bit of a correction or sideways price action to wait for the yellow line to catch up. So regardless, because these two lines are way ahead, basically separated from each other, it's a bit risky, and it's expected that they want to get back together again. Okay, so that's something to consider here. Nice impulsive move. Let's see if we get that corrective measure. Now the MACD is still super bullish. Just keep in mind that the MACD is a lot more lagging behind the RSI, meaning that it's a lagging indicator, and it takes a little bit more time for it to register the price action. So at the current moment, we're getting a nice EMAs to the upside, green histogram bars looking nice and strong, which means that it's very likely that we get continuation to the upside. But again, the price action is a few steps ahead in comparison to what the MACD is actually describing or showing here. So we could be a little bit where we're showing a bit of weakness, but we don't see it yet here on the MACD. So be careful. I feel like there's a lot of resistance right around this zone, and we got to really take this with a grain of salt, this pop with a grain of salt, given the fact that it has very low volume in this area. So what I'm really looking for, guys, back to the whole narrative, is the fact that Bitcoin could come down. And where am I looking at? I'm looking at a Bitcoin dip to about 33 to about 32. And I know I say this a lot here on the channel, but anything is possible. And especially if you get into that distribution, you know, coming down to these levels is absolutely healthy. It's nothing's wrong with that. In fact, coming down to about 25K is also very healthy, and nothing wrong with that. Why? Because both of those price targets, those bearish price targets, are basically higher lows. And because they're higher lows, they're confirmation lows. We can then have a lot more confidence that this was the absolute bottom, and that we got the corrective move confirming this bottom, and that the likelihood is that we're going to get a correction. After the correction, we're going to get a nice bounce to the upside. And guess what is going to happen to altcoins? Both on the way down, altcoins will get hard. We'll be able to scale in and buy the dips, but also on the recovery, altcoins most likely in that case will outperform Bitcoin. Eventually, it they get their season and outperform Bitcoin. So the thing is that we gotta, potentially time this market as best as possible. Time is difficult to gauge in the markets. I get it, because horizontals, which are price, are a lot easier to measure, but time is difficult. So this is the time to be patient. Are you gonna get into a fresh long at the current moment? It's possible that we break out to higher levels, no doubt, but the risk to reward is not healthy. At basic scenario, the risk is that we get rejected right around this level and that we come back to this red box and maybe even down to 32. You can see that the reward is not there, guys, for a long, regardless. So if you're looking at pure risk to reward ratio, this is not the time to get into fresh long. Even if we make a slightly higher high, I would be reserving my capital, figuring out a strategy how to preserve my capital in preparation for a dip, or start looking for altcoins that are at the bottom of the range, showing signs of support at horizontal support, and getting some signs of bullish divergence, because those are the ones that are going to outperform Bitcoin. I mentioned this in the past many times, that many people expect that Bitcoin runs, it's going to outperform the entire market, because they look at the Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin is showing dominance. Bitcoin market cap is swelling up. It's definitely dominating the market. But if you get into the right altcoins, guys, if you get into the right altcoins, they will also outperform or at least keep up with Bitcoin, even if the Bitcoin dominance is in the favor of Bitcoin. Okay, so that's something you got to understand. It's important to get into projects that are fundamentally bullish so they can keep up with Bitcoin, even if Bitcoin is showing strength in the market. That's really the strategy here, is to get into bullish positions regardless of who holds the narrative. If it's Ethereum and altcoins or Bitcoin, that doesn't matter if you get into bullish projects across the board. All right, guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, you know what you got to do. You got to slap that like button. I'm going to be live tonight at 7:30 Eastern talking about crypto news and price action. If you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. But of course, guys, join that Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.